Okay, here's assignment 4A. This is going to be something new. You're going to solve these equations. They look like what you've been solving. I'm going to do one problem per page. I'm going to need that much space, okay? I suggest you do the same. So what are we doing? We have the quadratic equation. Well, we label A, B, C. Okay, A, B, C, all of them are A, B, C, so you're equal to 0. Now, see if I have a greatest common factor, then I'm going to see if I can rewrite it in two parentheses with my T graphic organizer. Okay, so 2, 8, and 3, the greatest common factor is 1, and then 3, you can't do anything, you can't do an X, so GCF's a waste of time. Okay, now I take 2 times 3, 2 times 3 is 6, now it'd be positive 6, so that's if it's positive, then that'd be either a negative times a negative, or a positive times a positive. Here's a problem though. 6 divided by 1 is 6. That does not add up to, that's negative 7, so not going to work. 6 divided by 2 is 3, and that's it. I can't get it, okay? So what you label it, when your T-chart won't work, you put what's called the word prime, okay? That means you cannot factor this into two parentheses. What do you do to solve it then? Well, I want you to get a piece of paper somewhere, anywhere, because you're going to need this, okay? You're going to use what's called the Quadratic Formula. And here's what it is. It's going to seem real intimidating at the start. You just got to bear with me, go through the samples. You make a big line. You put a plus minus right there, plus on top of minus, and you put opposite B, okay, opposite of B. Then after the plus minus, you make a big long square root, okay, and here's what you put. You make a parentheses and you put B, and outside that parentheses you put a second power. That's the only place you're going to have a second power. Minus, and then there's a number that's always going to be here, okay? It's always going to be in this equation. That number is 4. You always have a 4 there. It doesn't come from anywhere. It's part of the formula. Then you put 2 more parentheses and you put A and C. And that's it for the square root. And on bottom, you're going to put 2 times A, okay, 2A. And that's a quadratic formula. Now that seems like a lot to memorize, but there's a song that can help you memorize it. Here it is. Opposite of B, plus or minus the square root, B squared minus 4AC, B squared minus 4AC over 2A, over 2A. I'll sing it again. Opposite of B, plus or minus the square root, B squared minus 4AC, B squared minus 4AC over 2A, over 2A. Squared means second power. Sing it one more time. Opposite of B, plus or minus the square root, B squared minus 4AC, B squared minus 4AC over 2A, over 2A. Okay, so when we get a prime, here's what we're going to do. Instead of making parentheses here, we're going to write out the quadratic formula. So opposite of B, just put OPPB, just abbreviate it. Plus or minus the square root, B squared minus 4AC, B squared minus 4AC, B squared minus 4AC. Over 2A, over 2A. Okay, now here's what you're going to do. You're going to cross out all these letters and replace them with these numbers. Don't put X's in there, okay? Opposite of B, so what's the opposite of plus 8? It'd be minus 8. So I cross that out, put minus 8. B to the second, so B is 8. You do not the opposite, just the only opposite is right there. The rest of them's just some numbers. And 4, A is 2, C is 3. Down here, A is 2. Put 2 times 2 though. Okay, now the next step. Make your line, make a plus minus. Now in front of that you got -8. You know that. Now skip the part after it. We're going to have to figure out that square root. But on the bottom I know that 2 times 2 is 4, so there's going to be a 4 on the bottom. Now here's how you find your square root. I'm going to circle that. Make 2 square roots, 2 smaller ones. Put a minus in the middle of the first one. Now look inside that. We need to figure out what 8 to the second power is. That means it's not 8 times 2, it's 8 times itself. Okay, that's 64. And then you're going to take 4 times 2 times 3 after the minus. Okay, 24. So 64 minus 24 is 40. Okay. Now I need to find the square root of 40 on a calculator because that's not a perfect square root. Okay, so I go to, on your phone, go to Google Calculator. You need to find the square root of 40, so square root of 40. 6.32, so equals 6.32, and that is what you put after the plus or minus sign. Okay. Now here's what you do now at the end. You punch in -8, so -8, and first you're going to plus 6.32. Now you need to hit equals at that point, okay? And then you divide by 4. You got to hit equals before you divide by the bottom. You add, hit equals, divide by 4. -0.42, that's your first answer. Okay, then for the second answer I take -8, and then instead of plus 6.32 we're going to minus 6.32. Hit equals, and then divide by 4. Okay, -3.58. And those are your 2 answers, okay? All right, next example. We've got 4x to the second power plus 7x minus 15 equals 0. Okay, so there are 2 answers. Got your A, got your B, got your C. So we're equal to 0, and then I go GCF. Then I'm going to do my table. GCF 4, 7, and 1 is it's 1, okay? And you can't do x, so we're not going to do that. 4 times -15 is -60. So it's a positive times a negative, so we're adding to try to get to plus 7. Okay, 1 plus -60 is -59. Okay, that's not it. Not even close. 60 divided by 2 is 30. -28, nope. Divide by 3 is 20. You add those, that's -17. Divide by 4, you get, wait a second, I didn't mean to do that. I have the wrong number here, my bad. Okay, I want an 8 instead of a 7. I want a 9 instead of a 7 right there. Okay, I wrote the wrong thing down. Okay, 15, that's -11. And then if I divide 60 by 5, I get 12. Okay, well that's negative, and I'm adding now to +9, sorry. Okay, not -7, I had the wrong thing down there. I had a different problem that was on your thing, it's 9, okay. Well that's -7, and that's under 9, so that's under it. As soon as I get something, add and get something that's under this value here, I know that's not going to work. I know it's prime, okay. So, opposite of B plus or minus the square root b squared, and put parentheses around those, minus 4ac, b squared minus 4ac over 2a, over 2a. So the opposite of plus 9 would be negative 9. And then b itself would be 9. 4, and then a is 4, and c is negative 15. And then a on the bottom is 4, 2 times 4. So make your plus minus. You know in front of the plus minus you have negative 9. On the bottom, 2 times 4 is 8. Now we got to figure out the square root. Okay, 9 to the second power. You don't just put 9 there. You got to take your 9 times itself. You got to find what 9 to the second power is. It's 81. Then after the minus, I have to take 4 times negative 15. Negative 240. Now, if you're subtracting a negative, you go plus plus. Okay? Anytime I have minus negative, you're adding it. 321. So I find the square root of 321 on my calculator. So square root 321. Okay, 17.92. I go 92 because there's a 6. 6 is higher than 5, so it'd be 17.92. And that's now what we put after the plus minus, okay? Now I take negative 9 and I add 17.92. Click equals and then divide by 8. You got to click equals first before you divide. 1.37, round to the nearest hundredth, 1.37. Then clear it, and now you go negative 9 minus 17.92. And then divide by 8, okay? Negative 3.37. Those are your two answers, 1.37, negative 3.37. Okay, next example. X to the second power plus 4x minus 15 equals 0. So there's two answers. Okay. A, B, C. So GCF. And then my table. GCF is 1, okay, without X. All the GCFs on this assignment are 1, so you can just skip that box if you want. 1 times negative 15 is negative 15, so it's a positive times a negative. We're going to try to add to get to positive 4. So 15 divided by 1 is 15. That's negative 14 when you add, so that's over 4. Divide by 2 is a decimal. 15 divided by 3 is 5, and that's negative 2. So now we're under 4, so that's prime. That means we have a prime expression. We cannot write that in two parentheses, but we still have to get the answer. So opposite of B, plus or minus the square root, b squared minus 4ac, b squared minus 4ac over 2a, over 2a. So the opposite of plus 4 is minus 4. B would be 4, and then 4a would be 1, and c would be negative 15. Now this a right here would be 1. So negative 4. 2 times 1 we know is 2. Okay, 4 to the second power, that means 4 times itself, that would be 16, okay? So again, in that square root, I take 4 to the second power, which is 16, minus, okay? 4 times 1 times negative 15, negative 60. Remember, when you're subtracting a negative number, you're really adding 60 to 16, and that's 76. So I got to figure out what the square root of 76 is. Okay, 8.72. So that's what I put behind the plus minus. So I take negative 4 and add 8.72. Click equals, then divide by 2. 2.36. Okay, then I take negative 4 minus 8.72, click equals, divide by 2. Negative 6.36. Okay. Okay, there's two solutions to that, okay? And you got an A, a B, and a C again. GCF 3, 7, and 3 would be 1. Then you wouldn't be able to, so 1 would be stupid to do. Okay, 3 times 3, that is 9, positive 9. Negative times negative, we're trying to add to get to negative 7. That's negative 10. Divide by 2 is a decimal. If you divide 9 by 3, you get 3. That's negative 6. So I'm under the negative 7. So I can now write prime. And I go to my quadratic formula. Opposite of b, plus or minus b square root, b squared minus 4ac, b squared minus 4ac over 2a, over 2a. So opposite of minus 7 is 7. B to the second, negative 7. Then you got 4. A is 3. C is 3. And then A is 3. Seven, 2 times 3 is 6. Now you got to figure out your square root. Okay, somewhere make a square root. You're always going to put that minus sign, and the minus is from right there. Okay, so negative 7 to the second, you take negative 7 times negative 7, that's positive 49. That is always going to be a positive in front of that. Okay, then 4 times 3 times 3, 4, 3, 3. After the minus, you got 4 times 3 times 3. 36. 49 minus 36 is 13. Now, don't put 13 there. You have to find the square root of 13 now. It's a decimal. It's irrational. You're just going to round it. Okay, 3.61. Okay, so I take 7 plus 3.61, click equals, then divide by 6. Okay, 1.77. And then we take 7 minus 3.61. Then divide by 6. 0.57. There we have it. Okay, do the 4 on the assignment. There's a supplement thing if you're having problems.